There's a not-so-secret garden in a posh southwest London neighborhood that's stuffed with exotic plants and history. On paper, Kew Gardens has an impressive resume, and we're about to find out whether or not the experience lives up to the hype. Yoo-hoo, welcome back. If you're new to the abroad community, I'm Michelle. Behind its gates and brick walls, Kew Gardens contains over 16,000 plant species, making it the Guinness World Record title holder for the largest living plant collection on Earth. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it houses a historic royal palace. Since moving to London, I've heard, Michelle, you should really visit Kew Gardens. Enough times now that I've decided it's about time we check it out. I love nature, but purchasing tickets and or a yearly membership to a garden is a completely new concept for me. But if you've been following my adventures for a while now, you know that we're just gonna jump right in with an open mind and see what Kew Gardens has to offer. It is immediately apparent that in order to make this a successful experience, we're going to need to follow the guide and come up with some kind of plan to navigate these 300 acres of green space. These people have the right idea.
Here in 1759.
I mean, that's kind of fun.
I have a feeling that sticking to the plan might be a tad tricky today.
Distracted by trees. Love it. So first stop is the pagoda climb. It's 253 steps to the top. Okay. We love stairs. 253. It's gonna be great. We love stairs. Do we really?
We've started with the pagoda climb for two reasons. Non-members need to purchase a time-sensitive ticket, and there's really no guarantee that our legs will actually make it to the top if we wait to the end of the day. The Great Pagoda was built in 1762 by Sir William Chambers as a gift for Princess Augusta, the founder of the gardens. Traditionally, pagodas have 7 floors, representing the steps to heaven, but Kew's has 10. Rule breakers. It was restored in 2018, including its 80 dragons, which were carved from gilded wood. The original dragons were removed in 1784 and were believed to have been sold to settle King George IV's gambling debts. This made for a great story, but one that has since been debunked by experts. We're first in the queue at Kew, which means we have a clear path to the top. I tend to start off hot, all confident, and then reality sets in. In the 18th century, the Great Pagoda offered one of the earliest bird's eye views of London, a view that's still worth the climb today. So far, first impressions are good.
Wow. People have been like, you gotta go to Kew, you gotta go to Kew. And I'm like, yeah, okay, great. I love gardens, sounds good, I'll do it one day. Amazing. The buildings are beautiful, the grounds are beautiful.
First impressions are really good.
Happy place.
It's pretty difficult not to feel happy, albeit a couple of degrees warmer inside the numerous glass houses and conservatories spread across the grounds. The temperate house is beautiful on the outside, and then you are greeted by 10,000 individual plants spanning 1,500 species from across the globe. It's a stunning demonstration of how Kew Gardens has created relationships around the world to rescue and preserve rare and extinct plants. Like this guy. He is one of several plants cloned from the only known surviving specimen found in the wild back in 1895. And like his relict father, he and all of his cloned siblings are male. Science.
Come on. This is so nice.
In preparation for this adventure, I took a look at some of the guided tours that Kew has to offer, and one jumped out at me immediately. Edible plants. Shocking. I know. Spoiler alert, we do not consume any plants. Although this genuinely disappointed me, the level of knowledge that is imparted on us by our tour guide is far from disappointing. We shared a few laughs,
There's a plastic fork in there.
stood in awe of some gigantic, really old trees.
This tree is 400 to 450 years old. Predates the garden. It's an old tree.
And learned how pine nuts are produced. Simply put, you gotta heat the pine cone, which can take years to mature, remove each individual seed pod, then crack open the shell to get your pine nut, which is technically a seed, not a nut, and may or may not have formed fully.
Hence the price of pine nuts.
All this talk of food and no eating has put us in the direction of the orangery for lunch. I'm not gonna sugarcoat this part. The food varies in quality and will cost you a limb.
I'd show you my lunch, but I ate it already. That's where we were at. Yeah, I was a little hangry. I was ready. That's got layers. Yeah, that's delicious.
It is.
Quiche is good.
We start making our way over to Kew Palace, an attraction here on the grounds that I've been looking forward to most. The smallest of the royal palaces, Kew Palace was built in 1631 and became a private retreat for Georgian kings and queens for much of the 18th century. A walk through the authentically maintained rooms and hallways of this atmospheric palace chronicles the lives and deaths of King George III, Queen Charlotte, and their 15 children. Yes, 15. King George III's powerful story encourages reflection on the impacts of mental illness on family dynamics and society as a whole. Our experience was thought-provoking and moving, particularly the upstairs rooms, which I won't spoil for you, just in case you fancy a visit. In contrast with the evocative experience inside, the gardens surrounding Kew Palace feel bright and carefree.
This is like out of a movie.
It is, isn't
This
it?
is so pretty.
I could stay here a while.
I feel so peaceful here.
I know, me too.
So as a child, these were my favorite flower.
Really?
Yeah,
They're
I would like,
Yeah.
you squeeze
Pinch
them
them.
and they like, I loved them.
This was by far my favorite part of our visit.
I was just saying to Deb, I knew we were gonna be here the whole day. 2 ice creams, walk up to John. John's like, who wants an ice cream? Me, I do.
You know it's hot and you're having a lovely time when it's a 2 ice cream kind of day.
It's really good ice cream.
Yeah,
Yeah.
delicious.
Thanks, John. Oh, you got crunchy bits.
Oh, it's so
Is that the
good.
salted caramel?
Yeah, it's delicious.
I double.
I mean, I'm just a mint chocolate chip kind of girl. I could have gotten it again, but I had to be different. I made a mistake.
So distracted by my cone, I've completely forgotten about that trusty guide I mentioned earlier as we try to figure out which direction we're headed in next. Kew Gardens is filled with incredible examples of how art, architecture, culture, science, and nature intersect. We saw so many, I couldn't possibly cover them all. But my favorite example of this was the Hive. It's more than just a 17-meter tall piece of contemporary art. It's surrounded by wildflowers and buzzing bees. And these structures equipped with ambient sounds and 1,000 glowing LED lights that simulate the vibrations and life inside a beehive. Just down the path, the Princess of Wales Conservatory is accurately described as a glassy labyrinth containing 10 computer-controlled climate zones. We end up losing each other while looking at some strange plants. And this dude, and then reunite at the water lily pond. But we're not talking any old lily pads.
Giant, the kind that you could maybe sit on, I don't think I'd recommend it, but I think it's possible.
after finding ourselves in an actual desert.
It's a little hot.
John, everyone, it's time to go. We hit up a hydration station and make our way over to the Palm House, where the heavy and humid air really smacks you in the face. Hey, keep up, would ya? Constructed in 1844 and restored in 1988, the Palm House was the first glass house built on this scale. It's a charming walkthrough and made that little piece of my heart still living in Central America feel completely at home. Our last stop takes us through the student gardens to a modest greenhouse.
Eric, this segment is for you. Oh my gosh, you're gonna love this.
Eric and I have been known to own a bonsai tree or two. Let's just say that we took a step back and filled our home with easy care plants like our rubber tree Elton.
75 years old.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I think it's older than that. It was purchased in '64, so it's got to be older than that.
Speaking of our plant family,
I'm so excited. I just texted Eric and I was like, how do you feel about moss balls? And I sent him a picture of these little guys and I'm bringing some home with me.
and now is where you come in. These 3 fuzzballs remain nameless. We have a couple of contenders, but we're open to suggestions. So pop down into the comments to vote or share your ideas for this mossy threesome. I'll announce the winning names during the next episode. So, Kew Gardens, world famous, obviously beautiful, and so much more than a bunch of plants. It's very difficult to see all of Kew in one day, so I'm sure I'll be back. But I couldn't have asked for better companions this time around. Thank you for joining me. I hope you're able to spend some time in nature and press that reset button. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you next time.